think we're here. Let's have a look, people. I'm pretty sure this is going out through Restream and then to like different channels. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to get a copyright strike on this. Sure, I can just like not monetize it and give it copyright to whoever I need to do. Now, hopefully my audio is not too like interfered with. Alright, so let's just pause it there. So in the background, what you can see is something that AI built. Back in the day, there was something, I can't remember what it was, T-shares or purchases.xyz. Basically, every time there was a buy or a sell, made like a ka-ching sound, little coins would drop down and you would see lots of activity on chain. And that was Ethereum chain, there's a Pulse chain. So what I was able to recreate is this here. Basically, yay, we can see the red balls are sells, the green balls are buys, and it's in the form of pachinko. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It might be something to do with Japan. And basically, I would have liked to keep all the dots, like keep them there, but alas, did not happen. But what we can see is the price up here and also the volume, etc. Also, if there's buy or sell pressure, you could sit here if you're really bored and get AI to film and be like, okay, instead of just looking at the actual core data, I'm sure that's the right word, you can just see if there's more red than blue, etc., etc. But I thought this would be good. Let's run the background. Now, going back to this here, unexpected, out of nowhere, the founder posts, or whoever's in control of the account posts something to do. Some Bitcoin hacks are good for, some Bitcoin hacks are good for price, others not. I'll describe to you, secret mechanic to price. This person hacked X amount, something, back in the day, sold, is the price affected. What is today's billion holding? Okay, so the marginal propensity to hold is up tight. Hackers. The marginal propensity. I need to run this through AI and then see, like, can we simplify this? Now, something, executive order, Trumpy mission, awesome, something, Mt. Gox goes on to say stuff. So this is probably the main crux of it all. Too long, didn't read. The 100 million so far, cold hard hack could reduce market supply or it could increase it. Now explain to you a hidden mechanism with which affects price. So we have this here, so we'll get rid of that one. I don't think there's going to be too much more excitement on X. I guess you can do that. So the core reason behind this particular stream is, in my opinion, not this here, we will touch on that briefly. I tried to build a tool to understand why people would be taking profit. You know, to me, I've been just watching it die from the all-time highs and being absolutely soul crushed, having the heart ripped out because everyone just loves to press that sell button, right? People would blame everyone else under the sun but themselves. Ultimately, the reason why the price is the way it is because anyone who holds these particular tokens decide to take profit. Now, the idea, one would say, behind trading could be categorized in 4 columns. Maybe this is what this tool is showing. Hopefully that's not too see-through. But you can see before the pump, ideal. During the pump, still good. After the pump, adjust. At the bottom, accumulate. Some like guidance, for example. Vague guidance, also noting, it's like honest note, no tool can tell you exactly where the cycle is you are in right now because you don't know if it's going up, going down. That requires your own judgment about the assets, history, and current market conditions. I just don't reckon we've got good enough AI yet. Once we do, we'll have the same level playing field, kind of, maybe. HEX historically follows sharp pumps with meaningful pullbacks, but the timing and depth are always uncertain. This simulator shows you the mechanics of the strategy, a strategy that you pick. Now, you need to make the call on whether to deploy it. Now, 2 or 3 things come to mind here before I continue. Basically, AIs competing for the greatest. People have said whoever has the greatest AI has the greatest country. Recently, Australia apparently was working on, I'm not sure if they released some cool AI, and it beat everything else in the benchmark. I have no idea what it is. I don't even know the name of it. Then also, going back to the AI theme, if you've ever built anything on chain and figured out how to actually deploy it and make trades on your behalf, it's not the most secure thing to do, but it can be done. Very cool. In essence, like using blockchain, like at the core. Again, I hate to use that word. I don't know what else to say, but you can run code, like it's supposed to, and execute trades. I guess similar to running smart contract functions, etc., etc. Now, recently in the community there has been I think it was a release of something similar whereby you can create an AI agent to create, control, trade based on how you program it, and I'm assuming on Pulse chain. So technically you could release, I did see someone else saying, oh, there's AI trading bots, whatever. You could create something like that, or you could program certain definitions in to be able to function, and I guess act like stop losses if you wanted to, and take profits if you wanted to. Not a bad idea, but going back to this here, let's see if anyone here. That's all good. I hope this is going out to people. Hang on, let me just check. It's probably just like recording to the void. Now, I'll continue on. Basically, it doesn't pull from a contract address. What it does do is, it's alright, cool. HEX Dropper. Alright, good. Just, God, that sounds mad. Okay, cool. I'll fix up the audio one day. I've got some settings I have to reapply because this is actually, through OBS as opposed to a good old restream. I forgot I had the ability to do this. Now, we see this here. Basically, you can choose the ticket of your choice. Hope that's coming through. Call it whatever you want. I haven't actually deployed this yet, so yeah. The amount of tokens, current price, entry price. You can run a simulation. You could. It might not help you to go back and be like, I should have done this because, again, my soul crushing, demoralizing. Or it might be like, damn, well, I know what to do next. Now, number of cycles, I still don't 100% understand how this tool is functioning because the end result I don't actually agree with in terms of the dollar value. You'll see why. Now, say you set it at the current price, which is as such. We'll leave it here because it's easy to follow. 1 million units, I think it's about $1,000, whatever. Reinvest percent of profit. Now, again, this affects the end result. But say you have a sell ladder. Now, again, I don't know if you guys remember ladders. There's a different thing called ladders, and these ladders, no one, I guess people have talked about, but it just went over the top of my head. The HEX ladders, I understand because it relates to T-shares and time locking, etc., etc. The ladder in this instance is actually completely different, and I'm surprised not many more people talk about this. Now, brief caveat here. Did you know it was talked about how there was certain there was a chat group years ago, and it was the online top G course of some sort. Now, if you reached out, you were able to get access for free, not pay X amount of dollars. Now, I declined personally because I just don't trust anyone, to be honest. Now, then I saw a stream, and people were saying they would never give out that for free. And I was like, curious that people would say that because I know that's different. And then I saw people speak of HEX directly responding to HEX live on a stream a while back. Now, they said they never heard of HEX, they didn't get into HEX early. And I can't help but wonder if the same response was given, because what is said in the public is not always what is actually going on. In terms of, people have said they would never give access to people for free because the course costs money, a lot of money relative to, some other courses, in my opinion. And they said the same thing. They never got into HEX early. So I can't help but wonder. Now that's just a little Easter egg. I'm not sure if anyone's even going to hear that. But back to the tool. We have here, and we say, let's set the price where you sell and what percentage of current holding you sell at each level. So this is a ladder, right? Say, for instance, you have bought this particular price here. It goes up 1.5x. That's the price. I think that determines by the figure here. Yeah, it does. So you can manually type this in or use the arrows, whatever. It's basically something you do in Excel. And you go, okay, the price is going to be here. And then we go here to make sure the price is actually right. Don't forget. And then you want to sell the percent of tokens, right? So this matters because the ultimate goal is trying to end up with more tokens. Oh my God, that's loud. That's so right. I'm glad that appeared on the other screen. Now, if it's just like, if you sell the amount of tokens that you set up the ladder and it does what you think it's going to do, go up and down and up and down and up and down, you can end up in a position where you have more tokens overall and keep your profit and be in a better position overall, funnily enough. Now, wish I realized this, but this time around, it is tempting to follow this sort of plan, I don't know. Again, you have to remember other people are doing similar things, so don't be too upset if you were to miss it. Now, moving on, we have the then next levels. Say it goes up 2x, say it goes up 3x, and then you sell the amount of tokens, etc., etc. This then allows you to be able to, just looking at Axel here, liking and reposting, this allows you to be able to then buy back in. So you got to imagine it in a timeline. It's not all happening instantly on one time position. It's over time, goes up, goes down. You sell here, you buy here, and it has to do that. If it doesn't do that, then this strategy does not work. It says here, buy ladder. What would you buy back at? Maybe 1, so the same price as the initial entry. And then if it dips lower later on, you buy more. Imagine being at the all-time high and having like 13 doubles and then 13 retracements from there, the doubles that is. But all the way back, imagine how much profit one could have in terms of monetary value, US dollar, stables, whatever. And then imagine how many tokens they could also have. And on top of that, you've got the HEX staking mechanism, which locks away, burns, whatever buy does inflate. And I think from memory, the founder did say one initial design floor may have been early adopters, maybe got lots and lots of tokens, which theoretically they could dump on the entire ecosphere forever. Not to point out anyone particular, just it's logical fact. So that is worth knowing. Now, if, for instance, it played out perfectly and you were able to get all this as planned in this timeline, this is what it would look like. So we have here, see some red bars in the background. We see you start with 1000K. See, this is what I don't understand, because then the final HEX balance, you started off with 1 million HEX tokens. The final HEX balance after buying, selling, is 3.5 million, not including any staking, etc. Which is up 252%, not bad. The final balance gain from the cycling is 3.3. So that's not a bad position to be in. And also here, US still to deploy. So I'm guessing that means you sell, you're sitting on it holding. So overall, total return on capital 4.3, which is 328%. Again, you could just simply hold from a 1.5 here. Keep it real simple, and then just sell it at a 3x and then buy back into the 1. So should it spike, should it come back, I don't know. If it keeps going, then this plan doesn't work as well. One caveat, So that's what happens when you run the simulation. The simulation, we see here, what is this? Why this works mathematically. So this play is tested, I guess, by the tool. And it says when you buy 3x, buy back at 1x entry price, every dollar of proceeds buys 3 times more x tokens on the way down. And, very straightforward. Over 3 cycles, this compounded to 2.5 to 8.14 hex. This is still, there is still 7.58 in your reinvestment bank that hasn't been deployed, so you could be taking profits, whatever, adding more, I don't know what you do with it, looking at the bond market, whatever. Remember, underlying asset is HEX on Pulse Chain and on Ethereum, but this is primarily on Pulse Chain. Now, adding more buy levels, running more cycles will put this to work with 100% reinvestment. Your entire focus is maximizing the token count. No USD is extracted, but your position grows faster. So there is other ways, according to this tool. Again, this is, I might try this. You have here the conservative 2x sells, aggressive 5x sells, accumulate max tokens, and half profit, half reinvest. Again, it almost is tempting to build different bots to see what they would do, to run them in parallel, and we're like, okay, which one's the better outcome? We are in an environment now with AI, we can actually probably do this. Not that I'm doing it yet, but once I figure out how to, maybe. I'm kind of like realizing in lifetime that would actually be a possibility. Now, if that plays out, that would be good, etc. That's the outcome. Again, this is like sort of the trades which would take place, if you would call it that, and that's sort of the end result. Beginning, wouldn't the amount be the initial amount? Yeah, that can skew the figure, but we have this here, sort of a little breakdown. So that's not overly exciting because I'm pretty sure many people in this trading environment would be already aware of this particular play. Whether or not it would be openly talked about as much as initially the whole locking away forever and never selling and all this stuff, I'm not so sure. Later on, it probably was mentioned that these are possibilities. So I thought, why not cover this particular strategy now and just see if it is useful. Now, the next thing we have is bond markets. I've been working on a little mini website here, thanks to AI. And I think 31 trillion is the actual US bond market, which is very thick, deep, and it is very efficient. So there's no room for arbitrage as such. But it would be good if, I don't disagree, it would be good if HEX on Pulse Chain or on Ethereum, whatever, does want to emulate this in some way, shape, or form. Now, as the price of HEX does increase, what you will see here is the liquidity. The liquidity would increase. Now, the only thing worth noting here, again, can't help but re-emphasize HEX is the underlying asset. If I'm not really sure how to approach it. So that's why I created this spreadsheet and pointed out, even though with all these numbers, trying to make sense of it all, there's discounts, there's returns, there's liquidity. Think about the impact. If you were to enter into a $31 trillion market, I don't think you would be moving the price on, $100,000 buys, $10,000 buys, $1,000 buys, $1 million buys, because it's so efficient. In a lower liquidity environment, you can move the price, whether you want to or not, against yourself in both ways. Then you can see here, you wouldn't want to move it against yourself 22.7%, 20%, 20.3%, right? 1.6% maybe, but then again, relative to the liquidity, how much is being injected in now. I'll let you guys decide that. Also, within the top tab, there is more tabs. There's unlock calculator, there is loop checker, because there is other aspects to that actuator I'm yet to understand. There's ACTR farms, again, yet to understand. But I thought I would include, because I could always include the HSIs and their ability to bid on them and enter them into, well, I only can't remember what it was, the Icosa Hedron system. Again, that is based on the hex stakes. Then also there was the, I think, what was it? You create the stake in the Hedron Pro Icosa app, and then you can create the HSI. Then you can sell the HSI, which would create a similar environment to this. But instead of being able to see everything all nice and pretty like on a screen like this, or even on the Actuator Finance website themselves, you would sort of have to guess how much, and have a look on the HSI market, how much it's worth. And from memory, someone scraped them all by a code run when the fork took place and won all the bids. So someone's got all the HSIs, and for better for worse, I don't know. But again, that all comes back to HEX as the particular asset. Now, next thing here. So we have Actuator, we have Hedron Pro, Icosa, HSIs, etc. We also have this here, the Maxi Desi Lucky Trio base pooled hex stakes tradable shares. Now, this too is a similar function whereby, what do? You buy tokens based on an event that took place earlier in time, and it may be beneficial for someone to purchase them because at the time of redemption, quote unquote redemption, minting, stake ending, you would be able to buy something for cheaper at current value than it's worth in the future. Now, through the lack of interest rate, I'm not sure you can do current value, future value, based on how many years in the future a hex stake is worth. You could potentially calculate T-share rate, but I'm not so sure that would be correct, because you might need a price to go by as opposed to percent movement in actual tokens. But going back to this, that's something you can ask AI. Not that there, but this overall, we can see, I think some of these have already ended. I hope these dates are correct. You can see here, when it ends, it seems to be versus floor. I can't remember if the negative is good or bad. The pool is probably hard to find because I had a look at 9mm Pro and I don't know what's going on with them. There must have been some other stuff. When I logged in a while ago, it looked different. PulseX was more familiar. I think it says here, there's a lot of stuff to read if you want to do that. It says min floor versus return, compares the real entry price to the guaranteed floor payout at redemption. Positive. Okay, so that's, I think, what we're looking at here. Scroll across. So min price, so the minimum price versus the price currently versus the floor. If it is, where is it, min price? I think it's this one. Min return, yeah, okay, return versus floor. So there's one that's positive, there's one that's negative, which is better. So if we have a look here, compared to the entry price, guaranteed floor payout redemption. Positive means even the bare minimum guaranteed payout beats what you paid to get it in. Negative means you'd accrued rewards premium to show up just to break even. So positive means that even the bare minimum guaranteed payout beats what you paid to get it in. So positive, good. Positive, very good, I would say. So more positive, the better. So positive here. Surprisingly, was it 73 is a negative? I guess because the performance of the price is so awful and the amount of extra hex minted may not cover the amount, which is bad, but as time increases, it would not surprise me if some of these ones actually turn positive. Mind you, look at the liquidity is not overly great. Like I said, I couldn't even find these things. Now, if we have a look here, let's check something. All right, cool. No, it's fine. It's live. Just talking to myself. It's echoing sound. We have this here. Yeah, positive, good, negative, bad. So I guess to wrap all of that up, what else? I might deploy that tool here. I think this is worth looking at. Also, this is just like a shill for everything I've built to just keep track of everything for myself. So I'm not really sure if anyone even understands all this. And also, I'll question whether the amount of data is everything, but it's not a bad effort if you ask me. Now, we can have a look at the HEX PHEX parity tracker. It would not surprise. Now, I don't know why this is new, and for the longest time it's been like 3 to 1 or 4 to 1, but it seems to be closing that gap, and there's 84.1 discount, narrowing 1.1%. All of a sudden, I've seen some posts saying it might be great if it hits parity a second week. It's going to hit parity. Surely, I can't even remember what took place when the bridge was open. It was clogged up for a long time, so if you were initially on the farms, you might have been setting the ratios, etc., etc. You might have been getting wrecked, you might have been getting amazing deals, but it didn't hit parity instantly. And then there was talk of one chain versus the other, but also I remember some things like let the market choose. Should it hit parity, it would be great because you'd be worth more on Ethereum. Negatives are on Ethereum, fees are bad. So even though fees are getting better on Ethereum, mind you, but to end a stake, there was some calculations that had a bit more gas. If they still suck, then that might be built into the price. So you might see, in my opinion, if it was to hit parity, for whatever reason, I still think it would be a little bit cheap on Ethereum due to those fees being cooked into the pricing. If that's even a thing, because this could just be, it could be something different, I'm not sure what. Now, again, this is crypto. So we have, next thing is, so we got this here. We've got that. We have, what else? I built an LP simulator, dual simulator. It may not be as useful as some other tools, but you can play around. Does give you the current prices, movements, and then you can see what would happen. Again, nothing new, nothing amazing, but useful, if you want to have a look around at some things that could, be coming in the future. Price go up, price go down, who knows? LP price simulator, I think this one, I actually prefer the HEX Pulse Oracle the best. This one is just what would happen, etc., etc. Some like insane figures being thrown around. $1 million hex. Again, this is my favorite here. The S hex Oracle. Basically, all it is ratio, which is good to keep track of your LP. I certainly built that. I didn't mean to. As a result, we can track it here. Again, last night I was freaking out. Going, what is going on, man? Just watching it drop like a derivatives trader. Going, this is fucked. No stop losses in place. Let's just sell, sell, sell. I was proud of myself. I walked away and said, okay, sometimes the hardest thing to do is nothing, which I did. Came back, thank God. It did not keep dropping because that would have been awful. Been quite sad. Now, we see here what it could do. Some not spreadsheets, some, I don't know what you call these. There's a word for them. I can't think of it at the current moment. Basically, this display shows you what could be. Now, we are getting close to the end. I've got to remove these bloody BSC BSC pair scanner. I was contemplating building some bots on arbitrage on Binance, even on Pulsechain itself. However, I think as opposed to building them there, it might be better to build it in something like, okay, profit cycle simulator, whereby it has some rules, and that way it will, conduct them automatically. Also, most likely be fresh capital because the price of HEX and Pulse HEX is not great. So I think 100,000 HEX is like about 150 bucks or something, give or take, on some stakes. And I'm like, oh my god, that's awful. I should have added a couple of zeros to some stakes from the beginning. If you guys remember the referral link just on display, way back quite a few years ago. What else? What else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. So we have a little bit of red. We still overall have buy pressure. We see some little sells, little buys. So congratulations, everyone selling, buying, whatever. We can't say this is a ghost chain. I'm watching that 485 bounce. There's no rewards though for that at the bottom. Now, I think we'll leave it there. That's about it. Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully. What are we waiting for, people? $100 hex, $1 hex, 10-cent hex. I think 1 cent hex, I hope is doable in terms of this current, within like a few weeks. 10-cent hex, I also hope. And then we are fast approaching Q3 of 2026. That's crazy. Quarter 1 was supposed to be amazing. Quarter two brought like all-time lows, basically. And yeah, I think we are going to. I hope we're going to get to $1, $10, $100, $1,000 hex. It's just going to be, that would be face melting. But realistically, I think it's better to track what people are doing, what I'm doing, and what the chain is doing, what the data is saying, is a better thing to say, than try and forecast moon maths. But I do like this particular tool because you could if you had enough time and willpower and track, you could make on it. Can you even track wallets though? Because there's some good tools now for privacy, which allows you not to let a bunch of pelicans stick their beak around in your business. But you could calculate what people might be doing. You could calculate how to make a profitable play in the future and how to end up in a better position should things go down. I mean, say it goes up to $1 and comes back down to 10 cents. It's like, oh my god, the end of the world. But then if you had some good decisions in place, you'd probably have more and have profit. Also, staking, locking, etc. is also there, but now we have some other stuff built on it, allowing you to access it if you want. And then with that combined, you could then go through with tools that other people have built and just go, okay, if this price, if this LP does this, then what? So if people move this, then what? Sort of thing. So you have a little calculator for everything, which hopefully can guide people to make more informed decisions, going, instead of market dumping this, maybe I could do this, or X, Y, Z. So, but that's other people because maybe they don't care about the chain as much as others. All right, so free speech signing up. I might deploy these tools. Maybe, I don't know. Just I'll use them myself, and I'll probably have a look into the bots to see what they're doing. Yeah. Once I deploy a little bit of capital into the bots, I think that's the best way to test them. And then if they're viable and they function like they're supposed to, then it would be good to see the effects, I guess, on the price of HEX and Pulse chain. And also in an amazing type 1 civilization, you could have a chain whereby everything is profitable. And to me, realistically, instead of everything going up to the right like a T-share, it might be something like a token or a set of tokens maybe on a chain that allows you, if you're intelligent enough to build stuff, automatically to make you more profit in US dollars and more profit in the token, so you'll never run out. I'm pretty sure some people are already there, like giant whales in the system. I would imagine are living pretty good. Congratulations, but imagine being able to build that from scratch, starting from scratch, I should say, and then being able to replicate the great success of other whales on the chain. That would be amazing. And if it's replicatable, then you get more people into the system who would also be looking for that experience. But I fear that the new people that come in won't understand how to do it. Or maybe I'm just overthinking it. All right, so that's my little bit. I'll sign out. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the stream. Yippee-ki-yay.